Durga Devi here in the gazebo on this beautiful Wednesday. It's very windy, just like in Winnie the Pooh. Happy Wednesday, Piglet. So I thought I'd take some time, since it's relatively quiet around my house and outside, other than the wind and the chimes and the birds, which is, beautiful. It's like nature's soundscape. I thought I would share a reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 13, Text 6. So some of you know I've been reading the Srimad Bhagavatam for several years now, I think over 3 years. So it's been several weeks since we were in Tennessee that I have read. And what usually happens is that I'll be reading really regularly. I'll set it down, don't read it for a week or two, and then I pick it up and it's exactly what I need to read, exactly at the right time. So this is part of having faith. And I do want to state that I'm a yogi who also practices Buddhism, and I believe in the philosophies of both, and I find a great deal of overlap. And I'm posting this now because tomorrow is the full moon of May, and it's a very sacred time in Buddhism to celebrate the Buddha's life, the Buddha's awakening, and the transition of the Buddha from his form to beyond. So it's a good time to reflect on the wisdom of the texts, how to apply them in our life, and just reflecting on life too. Your own life, what's going on with you, and the bigger picture of life. So here we go. I'm going to read the text first, and then, which is the translation of the Sanskrit, and then I'll read the commentary. Sometimes the conditioned soul jumps into a shallow river, or being short of food grains, he goes to beg for food from people who are not at all charitable. Sometimes he suffers from the burning heat of household life, which is like a forest fire. And sometimes he becomes sad to have his wealth, which is as dear as life, plundered by kings in the name of heavy income taxes. Okay, so that's the original text, translated from Sanskrit, granted, to English. And then here's the commentary, and the commentary is from Swami Prabhupada of the Hare Krishna lineage. When one is hot due to the scorching sun, one sometimes jumps into a river to gain relief. However, if the river is almost dried up and the water is too shallow, one may break his bones by jumping in. The conditioned soul is always experiencing miserable conditions. Sometimes his efforts to get help from friends are exactly like jumping into a dry river. Friends, but also family. Because sometimes friends, if you're a spiritual practitioner, are more like-minded of you, like you are, than family. So that's my own commentary right there. By such actions, he does not derive any benefit. He only breaks his bones. Sometimes suffering from a shortage of food, one may go to a person who is neither able to give charity nor willing to do so. Sometimes one is stationed in household life, which is compared to a forest fire. When a man is heavily taxed by the government, he becomes very sad. Heavy taxation obliges one to hide his income. But despite this endeavor, the government agents are often so vigilant and strong that they take all the money anyway, and the conditioned soul becomes very aggrieved. Thus, people are trying to become happy within the material world, but this is like trying to be happy in a forest fire. Okay, so if you do practice Buddhism, this is Buddhism to a T, especially the 37 practices of a bodhisattva. There's no happiness out there. Everything out there is temporary. Therefore, the happiness, anything that comes from out there, is going to cause suffering eventually because it won't last. No one need to go to a forest to set it ablaze. Fire takes place automatically. Similarly, no one wants to be unhappy in family life or worldly life, but by the laws of nature, unhappiness and distress are forced upon everyone. It's the nature of nature, is basically what he's saying. To become dependent on another's maintenance is very degrading. And this is my own commentary here. Yes, and it's also dangerous to have to rely on somebody else. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, everyone should live independently. Only the Shudras are unable to live independently. They are obliged to serve someone for maintenance. It is said in the Shastras, in this age of Kali, everyone is dependent on another's mercy for the maintenance of the body. Therefore, everyone is classified as a Shudra. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that in Kali Yuga, which is right now, this time we're living in, the government will levy taxes without any reciprocal benefits to the citizens. In this age, there will also be a shortage of rain. Therefore, a scarcity of food will arise, and the citizens will be very much harassed by government taxation. In this way, the citizens will abandon their attempts to lead a peaceful life and will leave their homes and hearths and go to the forest in sheer disappointment. So this just spoke to me so much because that's how I've been feeling living here on Forest Avenue where we live, where I've been for 24 years, where on my street it has become deforested, literally lost half our trees since I've been here. Houses being torn down left and right with $1 million homes being built. And it's not just the fact that they're $1 million homes, but the footprint is so large. So they're clear cutting the land. They're taking out mature trees and they're replacing them with saplings that are like 3 feet high. If they are replacing them at all, you have to actually ask for a tree replacement. So what's happening here is all the trees are being cut down. Houses are so close together that you are living with your neighbors. I've been living with our new neighbors for 2 years. They have 4 young children, and it's loud. Not only are the people loud, but then the maintenance of the house, how people are keeping their houses in the city. The gas lawnmowers, the gas weed whackers, the gas leaf blowers, the gas snow blowers. It's constant, doesn't matter the season. There's noise pollution ongoing. And some of it is just living in the city. That's how it is. Taxes are going up. And because taxes are going up, not just here, but everywhere, we have found, we'd like to move to the forest, just like in the book, as the text says. We'd like to live in the forest. We'd like to live more closer to the earth, more peaceful environment, cleaner air. but we can't afford it. We can't afford to move because of the taxes. So it's like, it's happening. These ancient texts, these wisdom texts, new. And it's not just the ancient wisdom texts of Buddhism and Hinduism, but you look at even a children's book like The Lorax by Dr. Seuss, which I read when I was a young girl, and it holds true today. This is what's happening. So the greed has taken over, the trees are cut down in the name of progress, and we're killing our mother. We're killing Mother Earth. And it's shocking that it's happening. And it's been happening, I know, for quite a while. But it's so closing in now. It's like the greed is surrounding me where I live in my home. And it's just closing in, closing in, closing in. And so, like the text says, like, just kind of disgusted, the citizens are going to move to the forest. That wasn't the word that they used. But, you know, like despair, like, what can I do? Now, here's the flip side and the Buddhist perspective of this whole scenario with, you know, specifically for us, we're trying to still teach yoga out of our home and in our yard and in our gazebo where I'm sitting right now. And right now it's really quiet. You know, my neighbors aren't outside. And what's happened is it's been like this, almost like this game. Like, are they going to make noise on purpose because they know we have people coming? They know we're doing a yoga event. And so then there's this resentment and all these negative emotions. So in Buddhism, you work with these, and in yoga too, but I'm specifically referencing, like, you know, Pema Chodron's teachings, Ram Dass's teachings too, like the grist for the mill, here it is, agitation, you know, irritation, dislike, and all these things that I'm feeling, that I'm creating because I'm reacting to sound. I'm reacting to vibration. And I'm putting a lot of my own ideas behind the sound too. So one practice is to just allow the sound to be as sound without any type of intention behind it. Like without thinking they're intentionally cutting the grass when I have 10 people over, you know, and we're doing a silent walking meditation. What was awesome about that experience was the whole group, including myself, went through, I think, agitation and then, okay, let's use it. Let's work with it. And it was almost like we could all fade it out, you know, and we had a really great experience. And I went from wanting to tell my neighbors, like, how could you do that? You know, you knew I had people over, to thank you. Thank you because you're helping me. And so shifting our perception of our situation, when we feel agitated about somebody else's actions or words or behavior, how can we use that? So when I look at it this way, then I think, oh, maybe we're supposed to stay here. Maybe we're not supposed to move because we haven't gotten this yet. We haven't learned the lesson. We haven't graduated, as Swami Satchitananda would say. We need to still stick with this curriculum of kind of being provoked a little bit, having our buttons pushed, and really practicing our skills, our yogi skills, our Buddhist skills of being compassionate, not taking it personally, and also maintaining our own peace, because that is the goal, to be peaceful where we are, not to have to run away every time there's something happening, you know. And this is real practice in the world, and it's challenging. The fact that we can't really afford to move is kind of forcing us to really dig into the practices more deeply, which you could say is a blessing, and that God is smiling because this is what God wants, or the Buddhas want. They want us to awaken. They want us to really practice, and they want us to live it and embody it and to get it, and to leave, when we leave this earthly world, to leave with a clear slate. Just a real powerful time. And with tomorrow being the full moon and the celebration of Buddhism and the Buddha himself and what the Buddha did, and the teachings, and just how powerful, that now is the time to really look at our lives and say, hey, what am I doing? What am I running from? What am I not dealing with? What am I not seeing in the right framework? How can I reframe it? How can it be helpful to everybody? So I want to go over to my neighbors and just say, hey, Sunday when you mowed the lawn, originally I was pissed off, but now I want to say thank you. Thank you. That really gave us something to work with. And we all had a very powerful experience. And, I'm grateful. I'm not saying it's easy work. It's not. And would it be easier just to move? Yeah, but, like the Clash saying about, should I stay or should I go now? If I stay, there will be trouble. I know I'm going to have more of this, okay? And we could say it's trouble, but we could also say it's a blessing because it's grist for the mill. It's an opportunity to practice. And if I go, it may be double trouble, double taxes for sure. We already know that. We can't afford to move because of that. But who knows what else might happen if we move, right? So being in the city, more or less, we're not in downtown Detroit, but, we're pretty close to it. Being in the city, we are in the middle of everything. So is that good or bad? Is that good or bad? There's a lot of good to it. There are a lot of challenges to it as well. So without labeling good or bad, finding what we can all work with in our life. What is the curriculum of your life right now? Our curriculum has been very clearly put in front of our faces for a while now. How can you live peacefully in the city? How can you love your neighbors as they are and see them as angels who just forgot they're angels, or Buddhas who don't know they're Buddhas? How can you keep your heart open when the government doesn't care about you? That is the truth. And the city of Royal Oak doesn't care about the trees, doesn't care about the quality of life here anymore. The city of Royal Oak cares about money, taxes, really is pushing out those of us who have been here the longest. They want the new young families coming in who have the money. And I've been learning a lot about getting older and retiring and how it's a trap. It's if you don't move when you still have a job and are making good money, you are stuck in your house. This is a big wake-up call for me. I didn't realize this. I thought I could move whenever I wanted to. But that is not the case because of taxes. We can't afford to move. How can we use where we are, what's happening, including our own emotions, looking at how we are reacting, and then take the teachings and put them into practice so that we can respond skillfully in a way that we can awaken. We can embody the teachings. We can embody the principles. We can maintain our own peace and then we exude that peace for us, to our neighbors, so they won't want to cut the grass when we have people over. Ideally, I wouldn't have to say, can you wait an hour before you cut the grass? They would see, oh, they have a whole group of yogis over, they're doing a meditation. Let's wait an hour before we cut the grass. But that may never happen. I understand that. That may never happen. But I see that as, then I would graduate. If I can be that peaceful, not agitated by anything that's happening around me, that energy would be felt all around me, and it would really affect everything around me. It's a tall task, but that's my curriculum. I signed up for it. I'm staying with it as of now. We're not moving right this moment. So wish me luck. Shema.